We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, right? Thank God it's Friday. You made it. You survived. You're here. Oh, man. Years ago, I used to work at a place. I hated my job, and I used to just always try to survive until the weekends. And then the weekends would come, and I would be like so excited that it was the weekend. And then the weekend is over so goddamn quick, and you're like, damn it, I have to go back to work on a Monday. It was like Sundays. I dreaded Sundays because I knew it was like, I have to go back to work tomorrow. Sucks. So if you're in that space right now, I feel you, man. I feel you. All right. So we are live, obviously. Join me for these every Wednesday and Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. But if you can't make it, that's what the replays are for. Before we get too far into this, let's start off with some housekeeping. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Drop a comment. I already see that there's some comments in the chat. If you guys participate in the chat, this goes by much smoother. And if you're watching on the replay, comment below. Just anything. Could be an emoji, whatever. I don't care. You can talk about my shirt, Impact World Champion, Moose. Moose hasn't been champion in a while. I think Josh Alexander still is champion. I actually met Josh Alexander. December, I took Nurse Chick to an independent wrestling show in Utah, and the world champ, Josh Alexander, Impact World Champ, was there. Be sure to follow me on all social media. I'm on all the good ones. The links are down below. I just created a new TikTok account. I talked about that on Wednesday a little bit. Get on the Patreon, guys. What are you even doing with your life right now? Get on the Patreon. You can join for as little as $10. Support the show. You get on the beer credits at the end of Monday's episodes on YouTube. And you also get all of the Monday interview episodes ad-free. So only $10 a month. You're supporting the show. And then, if you need some help in your life somehow, jump on tier 2 or tier 3. That's where I do all my coaching programs. So check that out. Patreon.com/ComeOnManPod. The links are in the description as well. Another way you can support the show is send super chats, And if you send a super chat, I'll play you a cool sound like this. I have a couple of other ones. I've been playing them lately. But you guys, when you send in the super chats, you want to feel like you're being heard. You know what I mean? And you want to be celebrated a little bit. I got you. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. If you do so, I'll send you some free stickers. These are what the stickers look like right here, right there. That's what the stickers look like. I'll send you those free of charge. Don't worry about it. Just get on the email list. That way, if I ever get deplatformed, I can contact you and let you know where you can follow me. Also, if you want these designs on a shirt, down below this video, I have a Teespring store. You can see that Teespring is connected with YouTube. So if you guys are watching on like Facebook or Twitter, come on over to YouTube. You can see the merch down below. You can get yourself a coffee mug. You can have some coffee in the morning together. And then finally, check out my new Practical Law of Attraction course, LOA.ComeOnManPod.com. It's more of a course about mindset than it is about, magical thinking and woo-woo, chick crack. It's actually very logical advice. It's broke it down into, the psychological explanation for the law of attraction. And if you're struggling with like literally anything in life, there's a reason why I did this as my first course. If you're struggling with anything in life, if you can get your mindset right, like everything else sort of falls in line. And that's really what this course will help you do. And speaking of that, we'll play a commercial and then we'll come back with my guest and we'll get to the topic at hand. So stand by. Do you want a positively unfair advantage in life? Most people tiptoe through life hoping they'll make it safely to death. They let life happen to them. Up until now, I'm assuming that's been your situation. Am I right about that? But you know deep down that you're destined for more. You know that you deserve more money or better relationships. Yet you're stuck doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results. That ends today, because you're going to check out my Practical Law of Attraction course. My Practical Law of Attraction course will give you the tools necessary to write your own story. You will be in the driver's seat of your life, not just the passenger. Your life is already getting better because you're listening to this message right now. Access this course at loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. When you're done with this course, the results that you see for yourself will be better. Others will see how your life is changing for the better. And you'll know that everything in this course is true because your life will be better. But the choice is up to you. You have to decide if you want to stay where you are or achieve goals so big that it will blow your mind. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So what are you waiting for? Act now. Act now, guys. Speaking of acting now, I got my boy Chuck Daddy and his little man. What's your son's name?
Oh, I put it in the name thing over there for you. This is Chuck Baby.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let's turn these on here.
Totally cool.
There we go. Chuck Daddy and Chuck Baby. What's going on, Chuck? It's been a while.
Yo, I love that prelim, Paul. And for Jesus Christ, since 2007, I've actually owned the phrase "action is your most valuable asset."
Oh, you have that trademarked?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be sure not to use it.
Yeah, I usually make people say it in like seminar rooms and shit, and then afterwards I tell them I'm going to sue everybody. But it's fun. So what are we doing today, Paul?
Man, we are going to be talking about sexually transmitted diseases, Chuck.
Nice.
So I wanted to bring up some tweets here. I put out this Twitter poll earlier this week, and it says, "Are you overly afraid of STDs?" And most of the guys said, nah, bruh, I'm not worried about it. But a third of the people said they were, right? Overly scared of it. And then the next day, I posted this. This is a quote from Dr. Robert Glover's latest book. I just finished it last night. It's Dating Essentials for Men, Frequently Asked Questions. And he says, in my experience, most men who have an overwhelming fear of STDs usually also have an overwhelming fear of vaginas and the women who own them. The fear of catching something is just a pretext to avoid vaginas. So I wanted to start off with that. I had a friend, Chuck. I had a friend that was kind of a, yeah, I have a couple of them. But I have a friend that he's a little OCD, you know, he's a little overly afraid of STDs, so much so that whenever he would get with women, like he wouldn't even have them go down on him without him wearing a condom. So he would always have flavored condoms and stuff because he was afraid that he was going to catch something from even just, you know, getting a beach. You know what I mean?
I mean,
have you?
Go for it.
That's good. Have you ever met anyone like that?
I've met several people like that. Believe it or not, I think I've been kind of like that myself when I was much younger. And I've had a pretty interesting life and a pretty interesting career where I had a professional public speaking career. I got paid to speak to 52,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And you get some groupies, right? Like I can remember like the first time it happened to me, I literally stepped off stage in front of 500 people in Orlando in the convention center. And these two chicks approached me and literally said, "We want to suck your dick." And I was like taken back because this is the first time it ever happened. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. I gave him the Heisman.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm Chuck.
Yeah.
There's a couple people I need to talk to here, but if you hang out afterwards, I'm sure we can work that out. And given my current situation now with my wife, and it's one of those ENM marriages, ethically non-monogamous, where I can fuck whatever I want and she's mine, because why else would I get married? There's really not much else women have to offer except like their loyalty and sex.
Yeah.
So I do use condoms all the time. Even for a beach right now. Lifestyle makes some great ones. They're like the same size as the Magnums, and they don't even smell.
Hey, can you adjust your camera so that you're a little closer to the center here?
How's that?
That way, when I cut these for TikTok and stuff like that, you're not going to have a picture of my overlay in front of your face.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, Chuck, because I've seen guys, not just my friend who was my friend at least would talk to women. He was actually pretty good with women, but he was just like overly concerned with catching something. So it was just like all condoms, immediately showering, like got to disinfect himself like immediately, just because. And a lot of that was his OCD. But I see guys in the comments that they are just overly scared, so much so of this stuff that they won't even talk to chicks. And I think that they're really just using it as a cope, more like what Dr. Glover says, right? They're like, oh, well, if I just say that I'm afraid of an STD, then I can use that as an excuse not to talk to women.
I mean, it could be just a cop out. Like what I've always looked at it is, maybe they don't even really like girls. It's kind of like if you ever have a threesome with two dudes and one guy, I'm telling you right now, one of those dudes is gay and the girl is just the excuse. At least in my experience. And like, I'd never really done it. And then one day I got out of one of these networking events and there was this chick that was totally into it. And she was into one of my friends that was a lawyer. And she was all over me. And I'm like, fuck it. And it was kind of weird. And I wanted to check out quickly. So I blew a load all over her face. And bam, the dude started like making out with her afterwards and licking it off. And I just walked out. Like I haven't been able to.
That's disgusting. Wow.
Well,
we just went to another level of gross, man.
Sorry about that. But
that's gross.
Every time I have like unprotected sex out of the gate, and I can think of 1, 2, 3. I can think of 4 times in my life, and my body count is pretty horrendous. I keep a serial killer style log. Believe it or not, I've actually started putting names next to it if we want to pump it up. So I just tell these girls like what name and number they are.
Name and number. Do you just when you reach out to them, you're like, hey, number 327, you're coming over on Friday, like?
No, but I mean, number one, you got it wrong. Like I don't reach out to them, and
right.
I do a lot of marketing. Like I got a presence like you. I'm sure chicks eventually start throwing themselves at you, especially when you get out there. It's that social proof thing. Mm-hmm. I got to actually enter one now who's number 154.
Okay.
Best of my, yeah. I don't want to get out there too much, and every time I've had unprotected sex from day one off the bat, I think I get something worse than an STD. I wind up in a long-term relationship. It's horrible. Like one girl that I did it with in high school, I wound up stuck with her for 7 years. It was not the greatest relationship. I'm sure we cheated on each other a bunch. Then it was my first ex-wife, the prosecutor. And like, oh God, I stuck it in. She immediately just fucking cried. And I was like, oh my God, did I hurt you? And she was like, no, I didn't want to get attached to you. And then I'm getting fucking married and put her through law school and all that other shit. And then the mother of my kids, my baby mama, same shit. I knew her since I was 13. And she's like, I was like, do you want me to use a condom? And like, this was 2011, 2010. I set a goal for myself to sleep with 100 women in a year. I've systemized it. I really got to bring it to the masses. It's that whole dating sales funnel thing we talked about on previous podcasts. Mm-hmm. I mean, this chick.
Yeah, if you guys are watching this now, go back and watch. I think it was an interview. It was in 2021, and Chuck talks about how he's basically set up a sales funnel for chicks on dating apps, and he had his roommate run it for him. And then basically all Chuck had to do was just show up and smash.
Yeah, it was pretty beautifully done, right? And chicks cancel all the time. And some of the things that I figured out were like Friday and Saturday. If you wanted to nail 3 chicks on Friday, and you wanted to nail 3 chicks on Saturday, and again, they were all in my funnel, like my bio, my dating shit would point to my websites that had all this shit, favored to win Mr. America, a millionaire before he's 30, everything else. So they know everything about you. I just took them through 4 questions, but mother of my kids was divorcing her husband. We were friends since we were 13. She was my wingman. Like, literally have just dinner parties and have 2 or 3 chicks over at the same time. I was bodybuilding. I'd make dinner and be like, wow, I didn't have to talk to him. She's just telling them how wonderful I am. Make a bunch of steaks and be like, wow, are you really a Dominican Korean? I haven't had that yet. Let's go upstairs, you know? She hung out for 2 months of that shit. And then one day it snowed and none of the other girls showed up. And she just never left. I remember being like, do you want me to use a condom? And she's like, no, I don't have anything. It's like, it's not you I'm worried about. Like, you've been here. You know what's going on. And yeah, that was a relationship. And then with my current wife, I used the funnel approach again. And I did not hide anything from her at all. I mean, I just drop all the shit from day one where it's like, look, my body count is horrific. You know, I'm married, I'm divorced, I got fucking charges pending, a whole bunch of crazy shit. I've done professional porn. Wasn't much, but it's out there. You know, I have enemies and the whole riot act. And she's like, wow, I really like you. Would you get tested? So we got tested and I didn't have anything. I remember going to Planned Parenthood. I was actually pretty flattered that like she respected herself enough to ask me to do that. I'm like, oh, that's a little different, right? Not jumping right into bed with me. And we're sitting there in the Planned Parenthood thing, and how many people have you slept with this year? Mind you, it's March. And she's like, 0. And I'm looking at my phone, and I'm like, 14. She's going to be 15. Would you like to be 16? Because the lady's pretty cute. That's I'm texting my friends from college. We have a thread, guys in my fraternity. And one of them immediately texts me back, oh my God, are you going to sleep with the Planned Parenthood nurse again? So I showed it to her.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. And I mean, we didn't have anything. I made her dinner. It was a really romantic night. Probably one of the most fucking romantic nights of my life. And again, you know, I started with a condom, took it off. Still not blowing a load inside anybody because I don't need another one of these.
Right. Speaking of STDs, a lot of people don't realize it, but kids themselves, life itself is an STD.
Yeah, I mean it's a risk every time you step to the plate, and again, she asked me to take it off, and I did. And
look, little man is playing the drums there, man. It's messing with the audio.
One of my partners is finishing his workout in the basement. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'll send him to the office shortly.
That's
Mom's
okay.
in Miami for her aunt's birthday.
No worries. Yeah, actually, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because you do have a pretty high body count. You have a poly-mono relationship with your wife, so you do have a bunch of side chicks. In fact, you send text to the Mantastic Four group chat a lot, you know, with like some of these hosts.
Yeah, I can't fucking believe it, right? And it's like they do their research, and you know, I wasn't this sexy in my 20s, and now I send the same text to my wife. Like the one the other day, this chick wants to meet up on Saturday. It was supposed to be Thursday. It's a scheduling conflict. I had business shit going on, so I always push them off for what's more important, which is pretty much everything but them, their recreation. And it's terrifying. At like 44, with my stature, status, and whatever else you want to call it, they're literally like begging you to blow a load inside of them. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these girls? Yeah,
there was that one chick. She was like, so can you cream pie me? And you're like, I am not interested in having another kid. Like, are you serious? And she's like, well, that's just like what I need. Okay, like.
Yeah, I thought that was like, yeah, I'm supposed to see her on Saturday. It's even funny is I'll send you some more texts. I'm going to set up a threesome with this other girl I'm tagging. So I've been sending them pictures, and seems like they like each other. I don't know, they're a little thick for me. They're not fat, but they're like on the cusp where like maybe they got a year left, give or take. They're like 3 cheeseburgers away from moving down from like a 6.5 to just, I'm not doing it. Right? And I don't have any fucking game anymore. You know, I don't hide anything. I talk to other girls in front of them. I texted a bunch of chicks in my rotation. You know, are you interested in having a threesome? I obviously asked the girl who wanted one if I could send her pictures first, because I'm not that kind of guy. I wouldn't want her doing that to me either. And I actually lost a couple chicks in the rotation that I didn't really give a fuck about. I mean, it was a nice culling. It's making way for the new generation. And they're like, oh, you're sleeping with other chicks. And I'll just go back and scroll up to the text. Yes, I will be fucking other women and send that. And they fall off. But I've had some chicks do some really nasty shit recently, like in the last year.
Yeah.
Because I am such like a condom freak with these. I mean, I call them groupies. I don't have another word for them. If you got one, that's great. And I've had a couple girls actually literally pull the condom off. It can be pretty graphically descriptive here, right?
Yeah, we're 20 minutes in. I think you could be okay. Yeah.
Like I met up with this new like Dominican chick, right? And I mean, it's a 3-hole bonathon, and it is what it is. You know, it's gaping about that big, and I'm wearing a condom, and I pulled out, and the condom's stuck in her ass with a load in it, right?
Uh-huh.
And she reaches back and pulls it out, and just goes like this and fucking drinks it.
That's disgusting, man.
I've had a couple other ones like literally take the condom afterwards and like dump it all over themselves. And I'm like, this is what I was trying to avoid for me. Like, I don't want to come in contact with you. You showed up in my life. You are pursuing me. The fuck is wrong with you?
You know, speaking of like crazy ass shit like that, when I got out of the 4.5-year relationship that got me into this space, I realized, like, so after I got divorced, I was like, I should probably get a vasectomy because I don't want to get chicks pregnant. That was like my number one concern. I wasn't overly concerned with STDs per se, but I was very careful. I was using condoms, you know. Well, actually, let's be real here. When I got divorced, I sucked at dating, so I didn't get laid at all for like 11 months. And then the first chick that showed interest in me, like I jumped into that relationship. So that chick though was, you know, she had her tubes tight, so I didn't worry about, you know, getting a vasectomy or anything like that. But when that relationship ended, it was 4.5 years later, and I was in better shape. I was able to actually hook up with chicks, and so I was like, oh shit, you know, like what happens if the condom breaks? And so I was more concerned with accidentally getting a chick pregnant because of an accident like that. So I finally decided to pull the trigger and get a vasectomy. So that actually just like calmed my mind a little bit on that front. But still, even with the vasectomy with chicks I didn't know, it was like I'm wearing a condom, you know, and that's all you really, you know, can do. And, you know, as long as you do that, you're going to be covered by most of these things that you can catch out there, you know. I mean, and as long as you use a latex and not, you know, not one of those lambskin condoms, because lambskin lets, you know, viruses through. It's porous enough that viruses could get through it. But as long as you use latex, you're good.
I got to Google what those new, I mean, they're pretty amazing. It's been my go-to. Their lifestyle skin.
Oh,
or you haven't tried them out yet?
I've had the lifestyle skin, and I think it's man, it's been years. I don't use condoms with Nurse Chick because I have a vasectomy. but it's been years.
Wife.
What's that?
I don't use condoms with my wife either, but I mean, this has been the terms of our relationship for day one. You know, I read these girls the riot act to where, listen, should I take you seriously, I will expect nothing but monogamy from you, but definitely do not expect monogamy or fidelity from me. You know, I want the male ideal, which is just unlimited sexual access, and you want to be a fucking princess. So let's see if you're fit to hold the scepter, and we're going to start the interview process. You're fortunate enough that I've happened to cross you in a period of time in my life which is single. They don't last very long. Best of luck to you. Shall we start the questions? And I was telling, look, if you don't want to take me seriously, we can end the date right now. Buy a dinner and walk out. And to date, I've never had to walk out. I mean, who the fuck am I kidding? I don't even take them out anymore. They just show up. There's rules to this game, and I mean, I sat down with my wife and we wrote out something in the notes section of my phone where it's like, look, she's number one. You're not gonna be my girlfriend. I'm not taking you out in fucking public. We're not going to go away on vacation for any weekends, although I've been working on negotiating that because sometimes when you work really hard like now, you do need a good smashcation in your life. Maybe with like 2 hot chicks and a fucking beach or some shit. I'm really white. They put sunblock on your back. It's nice. And I mean, I do it now really to protect my wife. I thought about getting vasectomy after my first marriage ended when I was 25, right? Because my first ex-wife, the prosecutor, knew I never wanted kids. And as law school was coming to an end, she conspired with several of her friends to get pregnant because you have to make up a man's mind for him and stop taking the pill. And she actually miscarried later. And I flat out told her, look, for once in my life, I feel like fucking God is on my side. And, I found out after that birth control pills were something that regulated her bipolar syndrome that I didn't know she had. And I mean, she lost her shit, would tell me she's going to cut my throat in my sleep, smash stuff, all kinds of fucked up shit. So finally, I just started recording it. And 2.5 years into a divorce, a marriage that didn't even last a year and a couple months, I just busted out the audio recording for the court and went, all right, this is how it's going to go. Statute of limitations on terroristic threats runs out in 3 years. Boom. Now, I'm going to keep all my assets. I'll pay off your credit cards. I'm keeping the businesses. I'm keeping everything. Or I'm going to take your fucking law school degree that I paid for, along with all your hopes, dreams, and ambitions. So what's it going to be? And I'm in that house right now. My bachelor pad. But yeah, I tend to be too generous with the shit. Just giving them, hey, you want a house? You want a car? You get a car. You get a car. You get... When I have a bunch of guys in my office's cars too to drive, and I tell them, I'm happy with a long line of bitches I'm giving cars to.
You're like the Oprah of hoes, man. Like just giving.
I mean, they're usually not nice cars. I've gotten a couple like Subaru Foresters. I got my ex Mercedes, and this one wants a Kia something or other. I don't know. I'm not really into nice shit. I don't give a fuck. Things that I want in life, money can't buy.
Yeah. So getting back to STDs, you have a bunch of side chicks. Do you still get tested regularly or?
Yeah. I started TRT a little over a year ago, which is like testosterone replacement therapy, because I had some pretty bad joint issues from like bodybuilding, mountain climbing. I got neurological Lyme disease. I was fucking paralyzed for 10 days. Like I got some arthritis. And then I got hit by a car, like when I was walking. So they put me on this shit. It's wonderful for your joints. It actually really drastically decreases your sperm count, but quarterly they have to do blood work. And while they do blood work, I get a full panel STD test the entire time. And to date, amazingly enough, I don't have anything. I have a really open relationship with my doctor. We talk about it. I was actually referred to these people by my pediatrician, who I saw up until my early 30s. We still talk, text. He's a family friend. And when my speaking career took off in the end of my 20s and the beginning of my 30s, and I was flying around the country just talking to these rooms of real estate people filled with gold diggers and groupies, I started telling my doctor about what was happening. I was like, Doc, this is what's happening. Chicks are throwing themselves at me. Like, literally, it's crazy. They find out where my fucking room is and knock on the door at night, right? And it's not a hard world to clean up in, because I'm in a room with a bunch of millionaires and I got a couple bucks too, but I'm also favored to win Mr. America at the time. And when I look down, I can see my dick. I'm the best looking, but I'm 6 foot tall. What do they say? Everybody's looking for a 6'6" man. I'm thinking, well, you just found a 6, 7, 8. Figure out which number goes where, because I ain't that rich. And my doctor actually, he's like, if you got an STD, would you know where you got it from? Right? If he asked me first, do you think you have one? I was like, I don't think I have one, but I've never slept with this many women in my life. It's crazy. Like, I tagged 3 chicks in a day twice in high school, and now that's happening Fridays and Saturdays, and regular rotation girls are during the week. Like, they just show up, Doc. So he's like, if you had an STD, where would you know where you got it from? And I pulled out my iPhone, and I just went, Doc, we can go to the videotape. And I just started showing him all these fucking bitches because my goal that year was to nail 100 girls. By November, I know I hit 77. I had pictures and video of. And after my second professional porn shoot, which is a whole nother story, I remember I woke up and I looked in the mirror. I was like, dude, knowing what I know, I wouldn't fucking kiss you. My friends from college are like telling me, God, you got to slow down. This is insane. Think of what it takes for one man to tell another man that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild. And then he decided to hoe bag proof me. And they shot me up with vaccinations for like hepatitis, Gardasil, HPV. My mom is a nurse. I still have not slept with the mother of my children. She's my wingman. So it's every couple of weeks she's going to my mom's house with me, and they're shooting me up with vaccinations for every STD you could possibly get proactively, because I like to plan ahead. And, I mean, it's just wild. But I definitely made sure that shit was taken care of. I mean, that's usually something that guys my age or your age probably don't even get, Gardasil. I think they reserve that for like 13 or 14-year-old girls. If I had any regrets,
is that the HPV vaccine?
It's the HPV vaccine, but
okay.
You know, they hit you with that, hepatitis, and something else, and like it's like getting 3 flu vaccines at once. You sleep the next day, like you do not feel well.
Interesting. Speaking of STDs, we got a question here. Hey guys, if you have questions, send it as a super chat. Support the show. But Samuel says, in your experience, when people say they're clean, are they including herpes and HPV, since they're technically not considered STDs? I consider them STDs.
Oh, on my STD panel, it does say herpes, right? And it does say HPV. So yeah. I don't know what doctor this guy's going to or what country he lives in. No disrespect, but they show up on my STD panel. And
yeah.
To date, I'm good. Pretty happy. You know,
so I wrote down leading up to this show, I wrote down that there's only 4 STDs that can't be cured. Here we go. $4.99 super chat from Samuel Moore. You get this, my man. Hold on, ready?
I was just gonna say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
This guy fucks. Am I right? Thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. Let's see here.
So I'm going to throw this in too, Paul.
Yeah.
Right. I've had a lot of girls recently. Like, I get tested quarterly. I have a file in my email where I could just access my results. I show them to these girls. Yeah. These girls show them to me as well. Right. But you got to remember, I'm in the real estate world and I buy a lot of pre-foreclosures. So all I see and deal with is other people's fraudulent situations that have gone wrong. And I mean, these people are editing fucking bank statements. What's it going to take for a girl to change the date on her STD thing? Right? That she has something that she doesn't. And I got this after my last breakup.
Oh, what are we looking at here? Oh, the tattoo? Okay, yeah.
It's got a reminder.
What's it say at the bottom?
Trust no bitch.
Okay.
It's Disney themed.
That makes it family friendly. Yeah.
It does, yeah. I'm actually going to see my tattoo artist tonight. He's going to do one on the inside of my thigh with a cartoon version of Hugh Hefner with a pipe and a captain's hat that says Captain Save-A-Ho. I'll send you a picture.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be awesome. So getting to the 4 STDs that can't be cured. The first one is hepatitis B. And that's the leading cause of liver cancer. So it's a nasty one, but it can still be treated with antiviral medicines now to slow the damage to the liver. So it can be treated. The next one is herp. The herp. Herpes. It's, it's nasty. It's not life-threatening. It's uncomfortable from what I hear. But it can be treated with antiviral medication. Many people have normal relationships with it, allegedly. If a chick disclosed to me that she had the herp, I would be out immediately. I'm not even fucking with that. I'm not even gonna fuck with that. But yeah, I mean, you won't really know if she doesn't have a breakout, right? If she doesn't have a breakout, you won't know. So I mean, the best thing you can do is wear a condom.
So you want some fucking serious honesty here, or you want to keep rolling?
Go ahead.
So I do test positive for herpes simplex A, right?
Is that the cold sores one?
Yeah, the cold sores one.
Yeah.
And somehow I've had this since I was like in kindergarten or elementary school. Probably some fucking little old lady gave you a kiss or some shit. And it was definitely like an embarrassing thing when you were like a little kid, because whenever you felt stress or anxiety or whatever, you'd have like a flare up or a breakout. Or if I'm like actually like sick or physically exhausted, they call it an indicator virus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually learned to be fucking thankful that I have it, because I know that massive amounts of stress and pressure will cause me to get like a fever blister. And again, I do disclose this to all these side chicks. It's not like I'm fucking kissing them.
Yeah.
I haven't had a cold sore in like 7 years. I guess it's in remission. They give you all kinds of pills and other shit. But every time I would feel myself having an anxiety attack or whatever, I just learned to calm myself down because I didn't want one. And I haven't had a flare up in probably like 7 or 10 years. You could probably put a fucking gun to my head and I could yawn now. And, it's oddly been a gift.
That's good. There was a years ago, there was this chick I worked with. I used to work at a pharmaceutical grade filter membrane plant. I was a rinse line operator. I've had lots of cool jobs. But there was a chick that worked there and she was, what was her job there? Was she a quality assurance? I can't remember, but she was this Asian chick from, I think she was from Thailand, maybe the Philippines. I don't know. I can't remember, but she would break out with nasty cold sores on her lips like every couple months. And then we were all like, oh, what's going on? And she's like, oh, it's an allergic reaction. I'm allergic to pork is what she would say. And we're like, pork. That's what's the cause of that. Not incessant dick sucking. Like,
yeah, I will say that like when I was younger, it was the weirdest shit. Like if I drank like a glass of orange juice, I was fine.
Yeah.
But if I drank like 2 or 3, it was like a guarantee I would fucking get one the next day. So
really?
Like,
orange juice?
Again, the weirdest shit, like the acidity or something, maybe would, it was really fucking odd. And like do an experiment. I'll chug like half a liter of orange juice. I almost guarantee I'll have one tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I don't know because I haven't had one in a number of years. And I mean, here's my STD panel. It's disclosed. It's not going to stop them. I could probably count them a couple more bucks in the bank, and I could probably tell them fucking Magic Johnson. It's not going to matter.
Yeah. Well, that's spread. So, I mean, herpes is spread with skin to skin contact. So as long as you're not kissing them and, if you had the, was it herpes simplex B? Is that the one that's on your junk?
No, I fortunately don't have that. And
thank God. Yeah. But I mean, if you wear a condom, that helps prevent that, Yeah.
There's different like versions of this. And like I was supposed to wrestle in college, right? I did in high school. And I know even then, if you have a flare up, you can't wrestle. And there's different variations of it. I have a friend that contracted some kind of herpes I've never heard of. You can Google this shit. They call it gladiator simplex. And like,
that sounds terrible. Sounds aggressive.
It's aggressive and terrible, right? It would be under a lot of stress. And you get it from like Mats and other people that have it. And it wasn't just on his fucking lip. Like this guy's whole face would be engulfed in like a herpes, and still feel bad to the guy. And it just made me think of it because he hit me up the other day. He got in a fight and he actually got stabbed in the face. I could send you some pictures.
Jesus, jeez.
He's a rough guy.
The next one is HIV. Now, when we were kids, Chuck, HIV, you would hear about this, and it was a death sentence. But now, even HIV, it can be treated with antiretroviral therapy, which reduces the amount of HIV in the blood to undetectable levels.
How old are you, Paul?
43.
43. So I'm 44. I could definitely remember, like, it's probably like 1996, like going to college and just thinking, oh my God, Eazy-E's dead, like all these celebrities. And I remember hearing on the news on like 10-10 wins, Magic Johnson has HIV. I'm like, oh, I guess he's next. And that was like the deadline.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the answer to most of life's problems. Make more money. So like if you make enough, you can afford the drugs and you can live, but I'd rather just not get the shit. And I do know some people that have gotten it and not died from it, but actually killed themselves. I know a guy and a girl that got it off of a fucking threesome that they signed up for on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
And their dead Facebook profiles are still my friends. It's like, it's a constant reminder.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people that I had over my house for dinner, hung out with, and it's like, I remember talking to them like, maybe you guys should be careful. Like, you're going to a gangbang.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe wear a condom. Maybe.
Hey, Paul, you want to see something really fucking funny?
Maybe.
I actually have a doctor's note on my pegboard.
Okay.
That clears me like immediately to film porn the next day.
Oh, you've told me about that. Yeah.
But it actually, I could send you a picture of it if you want to fucking throw it on the screen later. But it actually says, this person is free and may perform tomorrow from my doctor. So
I'll take your word for that. The next one is HPV. Now this one's actually interesting because 90% of people that you'll run into out there have HPV. It's that prevalent that 9 out of 10 people have it. And for men, it's not life-threatening really for men. It's you can get warts from it, right? And the warts, they can be frozen off, or they have creams or whatever that can get rid of the warts. It's much more dangerous for women. So, women with HPV, and almost like I said, 90% of them have it already. But they could get cervical cancer from it. That's like I think it's either the leading cause of cervical cancer or it's like the only cause of cervical cancer, HPV. But that's one of the reasons why they have the vaccine for it now, is because it's such a prevalent thing that, they want to try to nip it in the bud as early as possible for like teenage boys and girls.
That's the Gardasil vaccine that I got in my 30s. And amazingly, I don't test positive for HPV. I've actually encountered HPV in my sex life like 3 times, if you want some sex. And I just said no. One time I had dinner with this fucking gorgeous half black, half Italian chick. It looks like a model. She's still on all my social media too. And I value honesty. I'm really honest with a lot of these women. And I brought her home and we're talking. And, she tells me she has HPV. And it was like, thank you.
Yeah.
And we're still friends to this day. I had another girl in my old office, probably 2019 when we met. It was before I met my wife. And we're hooking up. And, I asked her if I could use a condom for a blowjob. And she's like, why would you do that? And I did it anyway. And then I took her pants off and she wanted me to go down on her. I touched her and there's all these fucking lumps and shit. And I turned like, what the fuck is that? And she's like, they're cysts. And I'm like, sorry.
Those aren't cysts, bitch. Those aren't cysts.
We're fucking washing my hands. I mean, it was like fucking knotty lumps on the fucking labia and the inner thigh. I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
Trying not to cut my fucking hands off right now. I really called my doctor the next day and he's like, you're probably okay,
Yeah.
And I got tested anyway. And the fuck else is it?
That's what I was going to say. For HPV, one, that's really the only way you'll know. Either they'll disclose it or you'll see that they have warts, right? But if they don't have the warts, they might not even know that they have HPV because it could be internal on women, and you won't even know. And then they won't know until they get a pap smear and find out that they're at risk for cervical cancer.
I even tagged a chick that had a full hysterectomy, right? And I know she had cervical cancer and had everything removed. And she's like, I'm looking to get back into the game. And I wrapped it and totally fucking rocked her world. And she thanked me. And it just makes me wonder now what happened to have that happen at 28.
Yeah. One thing
too.
What's that?
28, which I know is a little old, but I was younger and I didn't have the standards I have today.
They're a little long in the tooth at 28. Another thing too about HPV, especially for guys, is that so you get the warts frozen off or whatever. It usually actually you can look this up too. It'll actually sort of clear up on its own. Not the warts part, but the virus itself, once you like burn off all the warts, it'll clear up on its own after, a couple of years or whatever. Usually in most cases. So it's also one where guys don't need to be overly scared about it is really, I think, my point with that one. But all four of those, most of those can be prevented with a condom. It's not something that you have to get so up in your head about, is really my point. And then the rest of the STDs out there, like gonorrhea and all that stuff, like they're all nasty. Like none of them would be fun, but they can all be treated with antibiotics. I
got a couple of friends that got gonorrhea at Hedonism in the Grill. And have you heard about this like trichomoniasis thing?
No.
They call it the trich. I've encountered this one a few times, right?
Or trick? I've heard of.
I think it's trich, right?
Okay.
But I've had a couple girls that have told me that they had it, and it's like, I'd be a dirtbag to get it, is what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my assistants, who's no longer with us, she completely lost her fucking shit, like crazy, just acting totally irrational. I figured she was just a woman, but after she started engaging in like self-injurious behavior, we went and had her committed, and she had this stuff so severely that it actually starts to affect your mental state. And like, I guess she says your vagina smells like death. Well, I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. And if I'm going to hire an assistant, number one, I got to make sure that you're just unfuckable. I don't want to have a girl hanging around me constantly that I would ever even consider that with. I have to view you as like male, or just not. It just can't register.
I have to view you as a person.
Yeah. I mean, I like this woman. We helped her, get over it, and she had trichomoniasis, she had herpes, and she had I think warts. She had like 3 of them, but that one like eats your fucking brain or something. And I had Lyme disease.
Syphilis does that, right? Syphilis gets into your mind.
Syphilis gets into your mind. So I had Lyme disease that I ignored for 3 years, and it almost killed me, right? And I was clinically insane. Sorry, legally the term, insane, right? I'd ignored it for that long because I got a weird nerve condition where I don't feel a lot of fucking pain. But I've studied this stuff extensively, and Lyme disease and syphilis are both spirochetes. Mm-hmm. They're in the same family, and it's the same kind of shit. And I was having like all these like round Lyme disease things all over. I went to my doctor. My youngest daughter has special needs. I spent a lot of time in the hospital with her, ignoring my own health. And they asked me what I did for a living. The first time I had a flare-up, I was in base camp on Mount Rainier. I got off. They gave me like a Z-Pack. It went away, right? It went like into remission. 2.5 years later, I have a daughter who's hypoglycemic with Russell-Silver syndrome, which is not like Down syndrome, but it is a syndrome. She's like technically a dwarf, but she's fucking brilliant and beautiful and all that good stuff. And she's got to eat every 3 hours because she's hypoglycemic, because she starts dying. Mom immediately went into postpartum depression, wouldn't pick this kid up, right? Really sad. Like really, really fucking sad. Even the pictures in the hospital, like me with no shirt on doing tummy time with this kid. They want to give her a feeding tube, all this other shit. I'm like, what do you make all this fucking money for? So I just shut my life down for a year, and I stayed awake, feeding this kid for an hour, right? Every 3 hours. So it literally just destroyed my immune system. I had these giant Lyme disease rashes everywhere. I go to the hospital 90 days later after I get her out. They prescribed me corticosteroids to turn off my immune system because they think it's like they think it's ringworm. So they treat it like they treat a bad case of poison ivy. So they don't have the rashes. Only if it's something like Lyme disease or syphilis, it actually turbocharges it. So jump the fucking blood-brain barrier. It's in my spinal cord fluid. They give me a spinal tap. It's in my fucking brain. Now these things are burrowing into my brain. I mean, like, it is insane to get to that level where you just cannot trust your fucking thoughts. I mean, I would write on my hand, like on the mirrors, like, how are you feeling today? To like remind myself. It was some wild shit. And I talked to my neurologist about it, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty much, you experienced like stage 4 Lyme disease. This would be like stage 4 syphilis. Like the next step was death. Like it would have been the same kind of thing. So I guess I kind of know what that's like. And that was fucking wild, dude. Like you wake up and your like joints would lock up. You couldn't like use your arm.
It's crazy.
Yay, spiral keys.
Yeah, that's nasty. So let's talk about like getting back to this. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this show was to sort of guys out there that are sort of using it as a cope to not even talk to chicks, or they just are just literally like they're OCD about it so much that they're just deathly afraid of the stuff. I wanted to talk about really like what you can do to ease your mind when it comes to this stuff, right? One, wear a condom. We've said that like numerous times. Another thing I put down here was keep the lights on and don't bang chicks with sores around their cooter and their mouths, right?
God, no.
If she's like really wants to keep the lights off all the time, like you need to be like, what the, at least the first time, keep the lights on, have a gander at that thing. see what she's working with. And then also I want to say, get tested regularly, right? So Chuck, you said that you get tested regularly. One thing I want to let guys know is that, maybe they're a little afraid to go to a doctor or whatever. You can get one of these home test kits on Amazon, and they're easy to use. I used to use these pretty regularly, actually, when I was spinning plates. I would order these on Amazon. They're like, $100 or maybe a little over $100. It's a finger prick. You put some blood drops on a panel and mail it in. And then they send you a text message when it's ready. And then you can see all of your stats. They test for like all the major ones, including herpes and stuff like that. So guys can do that regularly too, to ease their mind.
Just get comfortable having really uncomfortable conversations. My game is so bad now that I literally try to get fucking rejected with the shit that I say.
Well, that's a smart way to go too. Dr. Glover talks about that in Dating Essentials for Men, about getting to rejection quickly and having a sex talk with women.
I have a scripted conversation with all of them. They all get the same date. I don't go on first dates, but they do. Mm-hmm. And repetition is the mother of all learning. So I just get better and better and better at it. And I got really comfortable doing it when, especially, I started practicing on the catfish, when they show up and they're a little older, a little fatter, a little taller, a little uglier. And you just take it through a series of questions where it's always like, where you been, where you going, biggest challenge, and what's working for you, rapport is built. And then I just start asking fucking sex questions. If they get tested, is it okay? That I have a wife that's been fully disclosed. This is how our relationship is going to work. This is the dynamic of everything. And, I tell them flat out, not now. Use a little neurolinguistic programming. Not now, but in a little bit, when you drop to your knees and decide to suck my fucking cock, we'll be wrapping it. Mm-hmm. Now, you're not as attractive as I thought. So if I'm struggling a little bit to get it up, I suggest you use your hand. It's not because I'm 44. Because and I just kind of call them out on their bullshit, and it never fucking works. I can remember when I was doing 100 chicks in a year thing, and one time my roommate was hanging out in the kitchen with me, and this girl showed up, and she wasn't as good looking as I thought she was. She was still 22, and he's like, I'm just hanging out so you don't have to sleep with her. He's texting me. I was like, I'll just say some obnoxious shit and she'll leave. Get out of here. She's like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. Why don't you take off your fucking clothes, get on your knees, and take out my cock? And she did. I just, if they show up, if they fit into your funnel, if they fit into your frame, I don't ever fucking go to them. If they come to you, you stepped into the fucking lion's den. What do you think was going to happen?
Right. Good point. It's on them, Chuck. One thing I want to say, going back to this too, I forgot to mention it. I put a link to this in the description. I don't have Amazon affiliates, so I'm not making any money off of it, but I did post a link to this in the description. If you guys are worried about it, and you want to get yourself tested, check it out. You can do it at home. All right. Well, Chuck, we're almost at an hour. I think we basically covered the basis of this playlist. Can you summarize this stream? No, man. Do the work. It's only an hour long. Just watch the episode, man. Yeah. What'd you say, Chuck?
If you don't have use a condom, you can have one of these.
Right. That's another STD, and there's no cure for it. Well, there is. But let's not go there.
Can I throw something out to these guys here if they're trying to get laid? Like, I think the goal here is, at least for me, it's like not even to approach women. It's just to focus so much on yourself and like your life and what it is that you want, that they literally show up. And gotten to the point where it went from not wanting to have a kid to, okay, I can afford it. I'll have a couple kids. I'll have another one. Fuck it. I'm going to win this game like Darwin. To the point where I'm like now a sperm donor, and I just froze 12 more privately before I started the TRT, just in case some nice girl wants a kid and I decide to give it to her. 11 more years and I can have 16 knocks on my door. But they're not my financial obligation.
You can be like, was it Genghis Khan, the alpha male of all time, where he fucked so much that he I think it's like what, one quarter or like 2/3 or something like of Asia is his descendants.
I have an Asian friend. He's Korean and his beard is enormous, and he did the 23andMe, and he is a direct descendant of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, some of these girls too, they get up there in age, they're not going to have anybody, and I've had a couple offers. The only reason why I did not give them the donation is because you can't even keep your own fucking life together. So how are you going to raise a kid? My wife is away on vacation now with some friends, and one of her female friends is there, and she's married to an older guy. I like both of them. They're awesome. And I think they're struggling to conceive. And I told her, if you want, you can make the offer. I'll sign off on the paperwork. If they like this kid, he's totally awesome, right? And yeah, you can have my genetic material.
There you go.
For the low price of, I'm not financially contributing, but you can tell him I'm his father when you're 18, just like the California Cryobank of New York. Did you know you can stop? You cannot donate sperm anymore after 35.
Really?
Yeah, I got an email in 2020 requesting that I make more donations because all my reserves had been used.
Yeah.
So I called them up, and I was like, all right, you want me to come in and make more donations? And they told me, no, that email is automatically generated when we use your last sample. So it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you're too old at 42 or whatever it was. I was like, okay. So how many samples did you use? And they're like, we used all 16. We'll see.
So there you go.
It's going to be interesting.
That should be interesting here in a few years. All right, Chuck, let's wrap up here. Where can people find you online, man?
So, I mean, just look up Chuck Daddy or Chuck Daddy Co-Out. You can find me on literally every social media platform. Facebook, Instagram. I haven't been working on the TikTok too much lately just because I haven't had time to schedule it. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easy to find. Just look up Chuck Daddy or Chuck Daddy Co-Out, the one and only. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, like I tell all my clients in the real estate business, when you're stuck, call Chuck.
All right.
Or the woman, if you want to fuck, call Chuck.
There you go. All right, man. I'm gonna we'll talk after I wrap up here. I'm gonna put you backstage real quick.
No problem.
All right, guys. That's pretty much all we have for this episode. I hope it eased some of your minds out there. You know, some of you guys that are deathly afraid of this stuff. It's it's not the end of the world if you get something, but you can largely prevent it by just wearing a condom. Make sure it's a latex condom, and then get tested regularly. Like I said, you can do a home test now. The link's in the description for something like that, if you want to check that out, if you're worried about that. Other than that, tune in on Monday. I have the Manosphere's favorite Dutchie. Jack Napier returns to the podcast. He and I were supposed to talk about how women like guys with hobbies, but we end up going off on a tangent about Liver King and whatever, but it's still a fun episode. So check that out. I don't know who's hosting Rule Zero tomorrow. They haven't figured that out. It's either going to be Ryan Stone or John Fitch. I have no idea, but just keep an eye out on Twitter for that. I'll be retweeting whoever figures it out first. It's funny because Thor and I, we're the noobs, right? So we're raring to go. When it's our turn, we're like, yeah, we put out an announcement on Wednesday, and that gives everybody time to retweet it and everything like that, because everybody's busy, especially Rollo. And but the other guys, they're all old hat. They wait till like the day before, the day of, like they don't give a shit. Like they're just like, what? Oh, it's my turn to host, and they phone it in. Still good stuff though. Still fun doing that. So keep an eye out for whoever has that on Twitter. Let's see here. Let's go through this stuff. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Thank you for all you guys that were sounding off in the live stream. But if you're watching the replay, drop a comment below. It helps out in the algorithm. Follow me on social media. All the links are in the description. Get on the Patreon. You can join for as little as $10. You're supporting the show. And then you get all of Monday's episodes ad-free. So check that out. In future live streams, I do these every Wednesday and Friday mornings. Join the live stream and send a super chat. You can support the show that way. Get on the email list. You get some free stickers. Also, another way you can support the show is down below. If you're watching on YouTube, down below, you can get some of these designs right here on some merch. Get a hoodie, t-shirt, whatever. Support the show that way. Other than that, check out my Law of Attraction course, the Practical Law of Attraction course, where I take out all the chick crack and woo-woo magical thinking. It's a course on mindset. If you really want to unfuck yourself, if you have self-limiting beliefs about STDs, this course can help you with that, because it's all your paradigm. It's your, it's all in your head, a lot of that stuff. And this course will show you how to reprogram your subconscious mind, so you're not so overly concerned with this sort of thing. Other than that, I think that's all I have. So we'll catch you guys on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.